The first three exercises we're going to look at are all focused on improving your ankle mobility and your calf length. The first one is a simple knee to wall, where we keep the front foot flat on the ground, turn the rear leg slightly out, and then we push our weight forward, keeping that front foot on the ground, trying to find a point where we can no longer keep the heel on the ground, and then we're going to stop just short of that so that we've got either a nice stretch through the back of the ankle, or you might even encounter some stiffness across the front. We can then either stay in that end position, hold it, we can pulse in that end range, or we can work all the way through it, coming right back, and then coming right back into it. Normally this is the kind of thing that we do for at least 15 reps on each side. We can certainly go for more of it. We should also be making sure that the knee is tracking forward over the second toe rather than drifting across. The next exercise we're going to do is just focusing on the rear leg now, so stretching out the calf while it's in hip extension. So we can pretty much maintain the same position, turn the back leg straight, and then our focus here is now going to be keeping the left heel down on the ground, and then again pushing forward. So we shouldn't go so far forward with this knee now, because we should be restricted by that rear leg. And similar thing, we can either hold this end position and just hold a stretch there, or we can pulse just gently in and out of that end position. The last one that we're going to do around the calf is simply a calf stretch over a block. So that's simply just done by putting the front of the foot on a block, standing up nice and straight with a stiff knee, and then dropping our weight over so that we can get a nice stretch through the back. This one will typically more just hold in that bottom position versus any pulsing in and out of it. Obviously we'll do both of these on the opposite side. This next one is going to be a stretch for your soleus muscle, which is best done on a bench or a box or some form of elevation if we can do it. So very simple one, where we just put our foot up on a bench, lower all that weight down onto that front leg, and we can often grab the box or the bench as we lean onto it as well, putting our weight onto it and just leaning forward. The heel is allowed to lift up in this one because you'll often find it allows you to get a better stretch, and you're often going to get something either deeper in your calf or usually down towards your Achilles as well. This is one where again we can hold that deep position, or we can just rock forward and back slowly, exploring that kind of depth. We'll often find that you might feel that you're tighter if you go kind of one way, more slightly out to the side, straight forward, or slightly across. And you just want to explore that and see what you can find. Spend time stretching into that position, and then we'll again come out of it, change sides, do the exact same thing. With all of these kind of calf stretches, and now getting into our deeper hip flexion positions as well, we do want to maintain our awareness of the arch of our foot, making sure it's not rolling in this way when we're getting into any of these stretch positions, and keeping it turned up and out as we just continue to explore all these ranges. These next three all focus on kind of posterior, these next three all focus on posterior chain extensibility. So we're going to start in a push-up type position, and then we're going to rock back to get into kind of a yoga down dog position, trying to keep our pelvis up high, and our heels should stay slightly off the ground for this. You can bring them closer together if you're able, and then what we're going to do from there is just shift our weight back onto one leg, dropping that heel down to the ground, pausing for a breath cycle or two, and then alternating to the other side. So this is a position we can hold, keep working through each breath cycle, and dropping the heel down. Okay, so that's the down dog kind of position with a calf stretch, which is also somewhat of a neural stretch in this position, most definitely. The next thing we're going to move to from here is called an elephant walk, which is basically maintaining this type of position, but taking short steps with our feet, moving them in as close as we can while keeping the palms on the floor. Then we're going to reverse it, take small steps going backwards, and with this we can keep stepping all the way out so that we can go past the normal push-up position if we're able, and just continuing to go further and further back, pausing in that out position, and then same thing, small little steps, inching our way back up. Now the next one of these is basically an extension of that exact same pattern, except we now bring the hands into it. So I'm just going to move slightly further back before I go through it. So we start in that same position, but then we walk out with our hands first. Same thing, we can go beyond that push-up position if we're able. Small steps with each hand, pausing in the out position, and then inching our way back up with each step, keeping a stiff knee as we continue to do it, and walking all the way in as far as we can get. Okay? Then we can come up from there. The next series of exercises we're going to use are going to explore both our ankle mobility and our hip mobility to really start getting into that squat pattern. So the first one's just going to be a figure 4 sit where we try to transition up onto that front leg. And again, once we get into this position, we can explore it. So we can have our hands down on the ground and we can move deeper into it, moving the knee out. We can move further forward, letting that heel come off the ground a little, or we can explore slightly in, not letting that arch collapse. Then we're going to transition out from one side and come straight back up to the other. And then you do the same thing. A lot of people won't be able to come straight up without using their hands, so if they need to use their arms either further back or in the front to help the transition, it's exactly how we're going to start that movement. You can also see that from the side. It's the same pattern. Leg out in front, sit up, roll forward. This also can give a really nice stretch through that back leg, where we can sit our way down to that heel there and explore deeper again into that front hip and foot. You just sit down, cross it over, come up, and again now we can challenge the mobility through the back leg going down while we're exploring that ankle mobility and hip mobility on the front leg. From there we can transition straight into kind of deep squat, where we're going to come up, try to stay low if we can, and then we're just exploring that deep position. So we can shift our weight sideways. You can see here that I do let my heels come up off the ground, just seeing if I can get up onto my toe. Do I get any restriction through my knee, my hip, my foot anywhere? But you see we're not letting any of this collapsing kind of pattern happen. We're staying up tall. So again, if we do that from the side, you can see we're trying to maintain a tall trunk position while we're there as well, and then just getting comfortable in what should be somewhat of a resting type position. The next one we're going to go into from there is really going to start to challenge the mobility of the squat and that posterior chain mobility again. So from here, if people can, they're going to reach down to their feet and hold their feet while they do this. If they can't, they're going to hold more around their shins or higher up. You do, however, want to make sure the elbows stay inside the knees, and then we just go from this deep squat position to a head down, bum up, lean forward, get a really nice stretch through the back of the thigh, the hamstring. Hold that position for a breath cycle. Sometimes we'll do even 2 or 3 breaths there. And then we come back down to that deep squat position, pushing those hips out, getting up nice and tall through the chest, or as tall as we can. Holding that position for a few breath cycles again. And then same thing, we transition forward. And then come back down. So same thing from the front. Making sure those knees are pushing out with the elbows, which will often give us a really nice stretch to our groin as well if we're particularly tight. Rolling forward, holding that position again, and and then coming back down. The next two we're going to do here are a lot more challenging. So they're still working on our deep squat pattern, but we're only spending a temporary amount of time there versus some of these deeper hold ones. So the first one is called a squat kind of jump, or sorry, a frog jump. Where basically we come down into that squat position, both hands down. We probably would have all done this as a kid at some point. Hands forward, hop, and then drop down. If people need to, they can certainly come higher up with their hips and transition into it. If they can stay lower. Try to spend more time pausing as they put weight on their hands and jump forward. So that's how we progress this. We try to slow down that transition and make bigger reaches with that jump. The next one we do is more of a monkey jump. So same kind of idea, but we just go sideways. So into a deep squat again. Hands will be down on the floor, but now we're going to go sideways. Take them out to the side and then jump, and same thing, sideways again, lift and push over. There's a brief pause in that as I'm doing it. Sometimes we won't be able to pause so much, and it'll be more of we just stay in that deep squat position as we transition over, and that's fine.